All right, so is it worth it to shop around with your SWPPP companies or to use a more experienced SWPPP service provider or use a SWPPP services company instead of just your excavator or something like that? I like to think so, and I want to show you why real quick. So we're looking at a project here. And I want to show you how a SWPPP services company that actually takes the time to look at your project, to figure out what's actually needed, can actually save you a significant amount of money. So if we're looking at this project here, this is going to be a senior living center. It's on about 7 acres of land. But what I want to point out here is that if we look just at the civil plans for the erosion control plan or on the grading plan or whatever it is that calls out what BMPs the civil engineer has put on here, you may end up spending a lot more money on BMPs that are not actually needed. So I want to go through just this one, and this one actually isn't that bad, but I see civil plans every single day that have tons and tons of controls listed on the erosion control plan or the SWPPP within the civil documents that are actually not needed. Now, these are the plans that get reviewed and accepted by the city. And a lot of times the cities, when they come out to check your erosion control installation before you start construction, they're going to go based off of these civil plans. But what often the cities don't understand is that your SWPPP, your stormwater controls, can change based on what's actually needed on site. And so you don't have to get a new set of civil plans drawn up. You don't have to go through a new civil approval. You can simply update your SWPPP and update your plan within your SWPPP to the new controls. And so one of the things that a SWPPP services company will do that most excavators or other subcontractors that are not in the SWPPP services realm may not do for you is that we will go to bat for you with the city. So when the city comes out and says, hey, you don't have this installed and it's on your plan, we will show them, hey, we have created an updated plan based on the actual site conditions, and this is what we're going to install. We'll talk them through the permit requirements and show them how we are allowed to update that on site as things happen, and we don't have to install all the stuff that is on the erosion control plan within the civil documents. Because a lot of times, and like I said, this one that we're going to look at is not as bad, but a lot of times the erosion control plan within the civil plans will show silt fence wrapping the entire site or something like that. Silt fence can get pretty expensive to install and maintain throughout the life of the project. So if you don't have to put it in, you can save a lot of money on your project by not putting it in, right? So let's look specifically at this project here. I have it pulled up on Google Earth next to us here, and then also in the civil documents. Now, what I want to point out very first, this project comes around here. It's going to bury this canal up to here, and then it's going to cut across and it's going to come up here. All right. So on the civil documents, they're showing. You can see here it says fiber roll. So they are showing fiber roll installed all along here, and then it stops right here. But then they are also showing fiber roll installed all along this left perimeter here, this western perimeter here. But if we look at actually what's going on here, and luckily, they didn't just wrap the entire project in fiber roll or in silt fence, which happens quite often. But here, we can see that there's quite a bit of elevation. I don't know if you can see in the bottom of the screen here, but if I come up to here, my elevation is at 4702, and then as I come down onto the site, you can see it's 4697, and then most of the site is 4697 or 4698. So this is a good 4 to 5 feet above the rest of the site. So putting silt fence or some other sort of stormwater control, a fiber roll, something like that here, just doesn't make sense, because the water is never going to get. You're never going to have 4 feet of standing water to get up and over that existing berm. So we're going to use that existing berm to our advantage, and we're not going to put stormwater controls in there. Now over here, they're going to bury this other canal here, this other conveyance, this channel here. They're going to bury that, and they're going to come out to here. So now as we look over here, we can see, the site's pretty flat, but we do have to protect adjacent property. So it is true that we are going to need some fiber roll running along this adjacent property. all the way until we get to here, and then we cut over across to at this point when we cut over back across the canal, right? So now again, because the canal, if I look at the canal here, it's at 4,700 feet of elevation. If I come back on the site again, 4,698, 4,697. So it's another 2 to 3 feet going up a berm into this canal. So even where this canal is open, we don't need perimeter controls, and they've correctly noticed that, and they haven't put in perimeter controls at this portion on the civil plans. All along this here, we don't have anything listed on the civil plans, but what we do have on the civil plans is this complete side here. There is listed fiber roll along this entire perimeter. Now I've highlighted that in blue because this is fiber roll that we don't need. Okay, so I've got 460 feet on this page. I've got 380 feet on this page. So overall, we're looking at what is that? 840 feet of fiber roll. And so we're looking at, $2,500 to $3,000. Typically, installation of fiber roll is about $3 to $4 per linear foot. And so $3 or $4 per linear foot, we're looking anywhere between $2,500 and $2,400 and $3,200 of fiber roll installation here that is really not needed. And again, the reason is because on this side of the property, we have another canal here where the berm comes up. So again, I'm looking at 4,700, 4,699 coming back down into the site at 4,698, 4,697. So another foot or two of berm on this side of the site that's naturally already in place. And so if I install that fiber roll there, it's really not needed. It's really not necessary. They're leaving that in place, and you can even see on the plans where it says in here, it says toe, top, toe. So you can see how here there's already a berm in place. We don't need to put that fiber roll into place there. It's just going to be excess. It's just going to be a waste that's going to cost us about $3,000 on the project, right? So there's $3,000 there already. You hire SWP Services Company, they're going to save you $3,000 in that perimeter control right there. Next thing I want to look at here, you have to protect the inlet protections, right? So these inlet protections are going to get put into place when the parking lot starts to be installed and get put into place. So we will need to put inlet protections on those once those inlets are in place to protect the inlets there. But there are a lot of places on your detail here where you can see it says inlet protection here. We have an inlet protection that's clearly not within the pavement. So this is what we call a yard drain, right? So this is a yard drain. There's some other ones here. We see inlet protection here. Here's a yard drain. Here's a yard drain. Here are 4 more yard drains. The yard drains, they're not going to need protection until you go ahead and start filling in for landscaping. And even once they do, because these yard drains are a lot smaller, these yard drains are only going to need something like a piece of Mirify or something. And it'll cost you literally cents to cut a piece of Mirify and put it over the top of these yard drains if you even need it. A lot of times, these won't even need it because by the time you get the landscaping in, these are sitting above the level of the grade all the way until you bring in the soil to backfill for landscaping. And then once you put the landscaping, if you're going to sod, typically, even once you put the fill in, those are sitting above the grade. So again, you're going to have to flood the site in order for anything to get up and over the top and into the storm drain at that point. Once you put the sod in is when they start to be on grade, right? And so that's when it's gonna have the potential for runoff going into those land drains. So you really don't need, you definitely don't need a full-on inlet protection in here. But if I am going in and I'm bidding out this for you, and I'm just looking at where they're putting the inlet protections, and so I'm counting the number of inlet protections that it has on the sheet here. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm counting maybe, and we'll look down here, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm counting more than 20 inlets where the inlet protections, they typically cost between $130 and $200 a piece, depending on the type of inlet protection that you have here. So specifically for an inlet insert with rebar, we're looking at about $180 or so. Let's say $150 by 20 inlets, right? So we're looking at another $3,000 there in inlet protections 20 times 150. So we're looking at another $3,000 in inlet protections that you may end up paying for if somebody's not paying attention to actually what is needed on your project, right? So now we're up to about $6,000 saved because you decided to go with a SWPPP Services Company instead of just letting somebody follow exactly what's on your plan. So next up we have track out controls, right? So track out controls, typically we're going to put down some gravel pads where we can. The gravel pad's going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 initially. Then you're going to have to refresh it several times. So you'll probably end up spending $5,000 or $6,000 on a track out pad during the project. Now, as a SWPPP Services Company, instead of just putting in what's on the plan here, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, look, do we really need to have 2 entrances and exits? One of these we can mark just as an entrance only, right? And we can have training so that anybody coming into the site here only enters going this way, doesn't exit coming this way. We can put up signs. We could block it off completely if we just wanted everybody to go in and out in one side instead of using both sides. But we can save $6,000 or so on the project by eliminating one of these stabilized construction entrances or exits, right? So now we're looking at about $12,000 on your project that we've been able to save you as a SWPPP Services Company because we know what's actually required, we know the permit inside and out, we know how to work with the cities, we know how to make sure that we're only putting into place the things that are absolutely necessary for your project. So again, as we're looking just on this project, and this project isn't very bad, but if we can eliminate one track out, one stabilized construction exit, if we can eliminate 20 of these inlet protections that are just not necessary, if we can eliminate 800 feet or more of fiber roll that's absolutely not needed, right? Then we can end up saving you significant amounts of money in the tens of thousands of dollars on stormwater controls because you decided to use a professional SWPPP Services Company. Are we going to end up costing, in terms of labor, a little bit more than maybe an excavator? Absolutely. An excavator may be able to put this in for cheaper than I can put it in, right? An excavator may be able to install your straw wattle, but they're not going to be able to do it for tens of thousands of dollars less than we're going to be able to do it for, and we're going to make sure that you're only putting into place the stuff that you need to put into place. So that's why I recommend to people, I talk to builders all the time, hey, look, yeah, I understand there's lots of options. You have lots of different options for who's going to install your controls, who's going to do your SWPPP services, but this is what sets us apart from all of the rest of the competition. As a SWPPP Services, dedicated SWPPP Services provider, we are going to be able to offer you exactly what you need and nothing more. And we are going to take the time to go through and make sure that you are not spending extra money on these items that you absolutely don't have to. So next time you have a project, please send it over to us. Let us bid it out. We're only going to bid out what's absolutely necessary. You're going to notice maybe that there's a significant difference between the amount of perimeter control that you see from another installation provider, but we want you to understand, hey, this is what we're doing. We're looking at your specific site, we're getting it right for your specific project, and in the long run, we're saving you a ton of money. All right, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.